Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 52 of the Late Starting Self-Publishing Roundtable, the podcast by indie authors for indie authors. I am your host, Wade Finnegan, and my co-hosts for this evening are Trish McAllen, hey Trish, Carl Sinclair, and,
Hey.
and Kevin Michael.
Yeah.
Carl's really happy. John is smartly out wining and dining his beautiful bride of 16 years. Happy anniversary, Mr. Ward. Our special guest tonight is highly successful romance author Mimi Strong. After spending the past few years building the Mimi Strong brand of smart, funny, contemporary romances, Mimi decided it was time for a change. She put in the pen name T. Pollen and started an urban fantasy sci-fi series titled Ghost Hacker. We brought Mimi on today to talk about the pros and cons of transitioning from one genre to another. Also, how she has reached new fans and how her old fans reacted to the new series, and if she would like to go back in time and do anything different in her indie journey. Thank you, Mimi, so much for coming on the show, and double thank you for your patience as Google was being a big pain in the ass.
Hi everybody. Thanks for having me on.
Mimi, do you want to give us just like a brief little bio, little introduction, talk about your writing a little bit?
Well, sure. I didn't actually start out doing contemporary romance. I started out writing young adult and middle grade fiction. I used a pen name Dahlia Moon, and I actually put out 8 novels under that pen name before I started writing romance as Mimi.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so who wants to start off the line of questioning tonight? And since we were all like jumbled, we didn't get to do any of the pre-talk with all the stupid things going on. So,
I guess,
all right, Kevin,
the first question I'd have is, so you started out with the YA books, and then you moved over to more adult romance. What made you decide to make the switch?
Well, my young adult stuff was not selling. Big shocker. And some other friends of mine were just... Actually, it was a dare. This one friend of mine said, well, I want to write one of these dirty romances that's so popular. How about you do it with me? And so we both wrote a short, little crazy, completely insane novella, and we traded the work and proofread and loaded it up. And to my surprise, the thing actually sold. And after you've gone for 7 or 8 books and a good year and a bit trying to publish and trying to sell stuff, and it just won't go no matter what you do, you put up something that seems relatively easy to do, and it starts selling, and like it's not really a hard decision from that point. It's not like you have to sit there and like really search your soul, like, gosh, gee, I wonder what I should do. Should I write the books that people buy, or keep banging my head against the wall like dum-dum?
Yeah, that's a pretty easy decision, that's for sure. Which brings us into the next question, then, is what made you decide to move into a completely different genre after finding great success in that second genre you tried?
Well, obviously it is because I am a masochist, and I like beating my head against the wall like a dum-dum. But aside from making fun of myself, I like to try new things, different things, and after doing romance has a certain set of rules, and it's like a game in itself, and I just wanted to play a different game with a different set of rules. So I just, I don't know, the idea came to me a couple months ago. I was having a hard time. I lost a pet, and I was very sad, and I just wanted to do something new to just, I don't know, just kind of spice things up a little. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. You basically wanted to recharge your creativity, it sounds like.
That's right. Yeah, that's actually a pretty positive way of putting it.
So how has that transition been for you? Was it difficult? What sort of things, roadblocks, have you been running into?
What's really surprising is that it's still equally difficult no matter what you do. Like, I thought, oh, well, I'll just do this for fun. I'll write this funny little ghost series, and there's no pressure. There's no pressure on it to perform or to do anything. I know I'm just doing it as a goofy side thing. And then I go and I sit down and I look at my outline and I just like beat myself up, like, oh no, you have to do better and it has to be better, and I don't know. It's apparently the problem is me, not the genre.
Now, what?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Now that you've been really, really successful, a lot of people when they first start out, including me, have made a lot of mistakes through like the first year or two of their career. What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you first started publishing?
I wish I understood the difference between how I am as a reader and how voracious readers are as readers. Like, before I was an author, well, when I was a kid, I was a voracious reader. I read everything. I read all the time. As an adult, I would only read, maybe 4 or 5 books a year, and I'd pick them up at the airport, that sort of thing. Just that I was a very casual reader, and that is not the market for indie ebooks. So whatever I think, whatever my opinion is about covers and branding and even story structure, as a reader is almost irrelevant when it comes to creating a line of products for voracious readers. And I kind of wish I had understood that, but people don't explain that. There's nothing in the literature on how to write and how to be a self-publisher that really deals with that.
So did you consider that when you moved genres, or did you move genres and then look back at that and go, oh, maybe my category isn't as voracious reader?
Yeah, I think it's one of those life lessons where maybe someone would tell you and you wouldn't believe them because you didn't want to believe them, but only by doing it yourself and suffering through not being able to sell, your sweet little adventure fantasy stories with no dirty stuff. Only by like really suffering. I think humans mostly learn through pain, and I think if someone had just told me, I probably wouldn't have believed them anyways. And there are so many people in our industry who say not to believe anyone and to just do whatever your heart wants. And I think some of those people are just got really lucky and they're kind of full of bad advice.
Now, you said when you first started publishing romance, they started selling off the bat. But can you give any advice on what you did to expand that into, thousands and thousands of sales?
The real key is volume. Like, I've probably got close to 1 million words published as Mimi now. I've got 6 different series running and some standalone books. I have some books that are free. I have some books that are in group promotions with other authors. I think I have, I don't know, like 10 or 12 titles under my name on Amazon right now, depending on how you look at it. So I would say the key is just, I'm not one of these people who wrote one wonderful, brilliant book and did amazingly well with it. I'm sort of like a blunt force kind of an author. I just keep putting out book after book.
Trish,
Yeah,
I think we're having a little bit of a problem on the thing that people are not getting Mimi's in the big screen. Mimi's picture, they're getting a small thumbnail. If that's happening, try clicking on her thumbnail. I was not getting it as well until I actually clicked on her, and see if that makes a difference. I've got a question, Mimi. Now, I read some of your reviews on your kind of contemporaries, and it's very obvious that you have a very strong voice and that your readers really react to that voice. It's described as, kind of funny and smart and clever. Did you, is that kind of the same voice for your new series?
The new series, I've written it in third-person omniscient, just for giggles, and it's very consistent with my entire body of work. So when I have written other stuff in third person or in Omni, there's a lot of similarities. So if you look at I have a young adult fantasy novel called Broken Shell Island, and it's written in third person omniscient. And if you look at that and then you look at my new little sci-fi series, you'll find very similar kind of a narrator style.
Okay. Did you make any decisions craft-wise to try to bring some of your readers from your romance pen name into the new sci-fi urban fantasy series?
Um, as far as artistic considerations, no, I didn't. I think that people like what they like, and you can't really, how do I say, you can't really, I don't know. I just thought rather than be disappointed in trying to get everyone to come over, I would just assume right from the start that very, very few of them would want to come over. And that way, anyone who did come over was just like a really pleasantly surprised. That's what I decided, because like if I asked my readers what they wanted, they would say, for you to not do that thing, but to do something else that I want you to do. So I didn't ask because I didn't want them to tell me what they wanted and then for me to just do what I wanted to do anyways.
Better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
That's right, yeah. Well, as long as I keep, I am working on another Mimi book too, so I mean, as long as I keep, you know, putting out more of those books, they can just pretend the other thing doesn't exist and I'm not cheating on them or whatever. I do have a few people who've crossed over, and they do really like it. I think it's kind of like getting your husband to try like a new dinner food. You have to kind of like let them think it's their idea.
Now, is that why you totally separated these two pen names? I mean, when I was looking to find your pen name, it was actually quite hard. I ended up doing a Google search on your pen name and the title of the series, because when I did the Google search on Mimi Strong and the title of the series, nothing ever came up. And then I discovered you had a totally different website. There was only like one Facebook page or Facebook post I even saw where you mentioned this, so it seemed like you were totally trying to separate these two pen names.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of go back and forth on it. I mean, Paulin is my last name in real life, and whereas Mimi Strong is like a made-up name. And so, like, I go back and forth on, like, oh, well, whatever, I'm a public figure, you know. Like, it's not that hard for people to figure out who I am, because, like, my face still looks like my face, whatever I do. But, oh, it's so tough. It's so tough if you've been doing stuff under pen names to then just go and say, like, hey, everyone, here's a picture of my house, you know, come see me sometime.
Carl, you got a question?
Yeah, I was just going to sit and geek out about the fact that you're writing Omniscient for real, because that's like the best thing ever, but I'm probably not going to do that because we're already half an hour into the show. But how much research did you put into it's urban fantasy stuff that you're writing now with the new pen name, right?
No research.
You just decided I'm going to write urban fantasy, and like I'm more not like necessarily like the books, just like how the market was. Obviously, you've been extremely successful with Mimi Strong. How much time and effort did you look into seeing whether it was going to be actually viable after the YA stuff, and then because how successful Mimi Strong was?
Well, the thing is, it's for my own. The Ghost Hacker series is for my own enjoyment, and I know that it's not a commercial project, and that's why I didn't put any research into it. I guess, you know, I guess I'm a little bit stubborn, and I don't know. In case you haven't figured it out, I'm a very impulsive person.
Yeah, I kind of got that from the few times that we've spoken.
Yeah, no, I don't have a publishing. I don't have like a publishing schedule or like a calendar, because if I say, oh, this book is coming out on this date, then I don't know, my brain rebels and that'll be the last thing I want to do. Does that make sense? I always just leave my schedule completely wide open, because that way when I finish one book, I know that in theory I could just quit writing and never have to write any more books ever. And just having that openness of the schedule lets like the new ideas kind of flood in.
But you are a full-time author, correct?
Well, I haven't had a job in like 15 years or so. Like well, I've been self-employed as a consultant, or running a business since like '98. So for me, there was no like real big transition to go into being a full-time author. I worked really hard. I did graphic design and websites for people. I did marketing for people. And then my husband and I opened up a retail store, and we had 2 locations at one point. We just have 1 location now, and it's a board game store, and we have gaming events and stuff there. I was very involved at the store. I was also very involved in all my client work, doing websites for people. And then it was just all too much, and I decided to do nothing, and I did pottery for a year. I just went into a pottery studio and I made pottery, and my husband was very supportive of that, and he said, hey, you know, it's great that you're in the pottery store instead of abusing our employees or whatever. And then the pottery studio was getting kind of tired of having me there like all day, every day, acting like I, you know, knew what was going on. So I had to find a new hobby, so I started writing. And I tried for a few months to get an agent and a publishing deal, and I was really scared of self-publishing because I have like my best girlfriend does music, and she she created her own album and tried to market it, and it was just so hard for her, like next to impossible, and it was just so sad. And I thought, oh, that's me. That is me if I self-publish my book. So there's no way I'm not going to do that. Like I was just like, oh, that is so sad. I would rather just like set it on fire. But then I discovered the, you know, Kindle boards and Conrad's blog and all that kind of stuff. So just impulsively, which is pretty much the only way I do things, I put up my first middle grade novel. And then I was hooked. I was hooked on self-publishing.
So you never actually even tried the traditional route, did you? You just went straight into self-publishing without ever doing any querying of agents or traditional houses?
Oh no, I queried. I queried a lot, and you know, got some requests for manuscripts and got some rejections, and I still remember when the first rejection letter came in, and you know, I had high hopes. I knew it was, you know, tough odds, but I had high hopes, and the rejection came, and I cried, and my husband gave me a little hug by the fridge and said, you know, just keep going, baby. And he's been like that every step of the way. Thank God.
That's awesome.
Now,
Kevin, you had a question about marketing?
Yes, I have a lot of authors are afraid of Facebook marketing, and they put a lot of money into it, into like a little Facebook hole, and it just disappears. Now, you've done really well on Facebook. You have like 28,000 likes. Do you have any advice for people on how to use Facebook as an author?
Oh, for sure. You're going to lose time and you're going to lose money, and that's how you learn. So if you can get in there, I mean, if you would go and you would pay $300 to take a workshop from someone to learn how to do something, then you can spend $300 figuring out how to boost a post and how to boost a post only to your like base and how to upload a spreadsheet of your mailing list and create them as a custom target on Facebook and all those things. If you want to learn how to do it, you can do it. You just have to be willing to lose a little bit in the beginning. Like take a little bundle of money and say, I can kiss this much goodbye, and then just do it. And I would say probably it'll take you $300 before you even know the first thing.
Okay, so backing up a little bit on the cross-promotion kind of between your pen names. So did you do anything to try to bring some of your readers from your romances over? Like, did you send a notice out to your newsletter that you were publishing these the first Ghost Hacker book, or anything like that to try to draw readers that you already had?
Well, I guess what I should do is I should just kind of back it up a little bit here. One of my things that is my advice to new authors, or to, you know, myself if I were starting out again, is to just don't even bother doing anything until you have 3 or 4 books out. You put out books 1 to 3, and basically the only thing you should be doing is trying to get a few people who will review your books. And so I am taking my advice. I've put up the book. It's got not a very good rank. I think I've sold 37 copies of the book since it came out, and that is just fine. It's just on there to have it sit there, to have a few reviews go up, and then I'm going to put up book 2 and book 3, and then by book 4, if I'm still doing it, then I'll start marketing. But what I did do was I did send one email to my newsletter list, and I said, you guys probably won't like this. It's completely terrible and you'll hate it. But if you're really stubborn and you insist, you can click over here, you can sign up, and I'll send you a free copy. And I had about 400 or 500 people sign up for that, and I sent them free copies of book one.
That was the soft sell there. You'll probably hate it, and then you still get 500 people sign up.
Yeah, well, you know, under promise, over deliver.
Now I have a question. I know you've done BookBubs and you've done multi-author box sets, and you've probably done a whole bunch of other stuff. What do you say is probably the best kind of promotional stuff you've done?
I think the best thing you can do is network a little bit with other authors who are around your level, like at your level. Make friends with them. Be useful to other people. Be helpful. Be part of the community. And then when opportunities like box sets come up, they know who you are, and you should probably go into any box set that will have you. Probably. Like the amount of time invested in going into a box set is it's a very small amount of time. I mean, like 3-4 hours maybe to set up, send out a few emails, send out a few tweets and Facebook posts. It's not like you have to write a new book for it, unless you're doing one of those, which I did. But then you have a book.
Now I have a question. For your mailing list, did you use free books to get signups for your mailing list, or do you just put the link to your mailing list at the back of your paid books?
Free books are the only way I've gotten people to sign up for my mailing list. It's not just a good way, it is, like, as far as I'm concerned, the only way, because people are only motivated by well, we all think, well, like, what is in this for me? What do I get from this? I don't want to be, like, nagged by some weird self-publishing author. But I would like some free books, so, you know, it's a fair trade-off.
So when you first started out under the Mimi Strong pen name, who did you connect with then right away? Because that obviously took off. You think it's because of a genre, or is there something else you think you did that helped you really start to gain traction?
Yeah, it was just the genre. Like I started publishing with a couple other authors who were doing it at the same time, and we cross-promoted with each other. But we were all starting at zero. So it was entirely the genre.
Now I have a question. Do you currently have any books in Select, or do you mostly do like Apple, Barnes & Noble, and do the whole wide distribution now?
I'm starting the new series, the Go series, is in Select. So I would say for anyone who's starting out, definitely focus Go Select. I think it's a great way if you're starting out and you have nothing.
What sort of advantages does Select give you think that wouldn't otherwise?
It's hard to say. I've noticed that there are a few indie authors in genres that are not necessarily romance who do really well, who are very visible on Amazon, and I've noticed that they're exclusively in Amazon, and so I don't think that's a coincidence.
Now, in terms of non-Select, if you do you have good sales on Barnes & Noble and Apple, and if you do, what have you done to try to like build that base? Because everyone seems to have trouble on those other sites.
I didn't do anything different than what I have been doing, which is just putting out a buttload of books constantly. I get probably about 30% of my sales on venues that are not Amazon, which is why I wouldn't take all my Mimi Strong books and put them into Select. I would hate to have to pull them off of iTunes and Nook, because I'd be making some people unhappy. That would be bad.
Okay, so Mimi, when you first started off, you'd said that you tried the young adult, they didn't sell quite so well, and then you switched to the romance, and the first one started selling. But as you got more books up, did you kind of find a critical mass at some point where it just seemed like they took off and they really started to go, bananas for you?
Yeah, I think things took off. In December, I finished the third novel in a 3-book series. It was actually going to be 4 books, but my sell-through from book 1 to book 2 was really low, and it seemed that people didn't really like the series very much. So I took all of this plot stuff that I had in mind for book 3 and book 4, and I put them together into kind of like an extra long book 3, and I just finished up the series. I put everything I had into it. It was hard because I kind of felt like a failure, like that I tried this thing and it sucked and nobody liked it. Finished the book, put it out, and over time it seems to have really strong. This is a Peaches Monroe series. It's a 3-book series. They're long books, and since I finished the books and I put up book 3, it seems like it's gotten good word-of-mouth growth and it just continues to sell. And I've had book number 1 in the series. I've had it free and I've had it in box sets and stuff. So I would say probably as of January, things kind of clicked in for me.
So there's that 3-book chunk again you're talking about. 3 books, 4 books. Don't worry until you get to that point. That sounds like your pretty sound advice so far.
Oh yeah, but they have to be the same protagonist or like a really tight group of protagonists. You can't just. I used to think when I was doing my YA books, I noticed a lot of people started to break out when they hit around like book 5 or 6, and it was really sad when I hit book 7 and book 8, and I just could not give them away. But they were not all in the same exact series. I have 3 series that have 2 books in them each, and I think if I'd stuck with them, maybe one of those series would have eventually started to sell, and I would have stuck with it. But I was just a little off trend. I was writing new adult, I was writing about 18-year-old characters, but they were not having super graphic sex. So I completely missed that mark with the other pen names.
The new adult, if you had put in some extra sex scenes, you think it would have done better?
Well, I don't know. I think that my style is a tough sell. Honestly, I think comedy authors have a really, really hard time. If you know the super nice people on message boards and in Facebook groups who are really lovely and fun and funny, and they just it's sad that there's more demand for really angsty, really books that are all about crying than there are about books that are about laughing. So I think I've done really well considering I put so many stupid jokes in all my books. I think that the contemporary romance readers, the really cool ones, they just kind of tolerate me, and I think a few people like me because of the humor. I don't know. I'm hard on myself.
I have a question just on the YA stuff before we move away from it again. Considering how things went and how you've moved on essentially from there, and knowing that YA and middle grade specifically do so well with traditional, would you consider selling any of those series to traditional publishing, being that it's usually stronger than self-publishing for those genres?
Oh yeah, definitely. If anyone's listening, anyone knows someone, just call me. $1, it's yours. Take it. Seriously, anyone. Take my YA books. Take them, publish them. Some of them are good. Some of them are not. You figure it out.
That's a good sell right there.
Yeah.
I have a question about getting reviews. Do you have any advice? There's a lot of people that have a lot of trouble getting reviews. Do you put something at the back of your book that says, please leave me a review, or if you leave a review, you get a free copy of my next one, or any kind of advice for that?
I think the back of the book is probably a waste for that. Ideally, at the back of the book, you would want them to buy your next book. Or sign up for your mailing list. How to do it is you have to sort of roll up your sleeves and just do it. And that means you go on Facebook, you talk to people, someone sends you an email and says, hey, I really liked your book, and you say, like, that's great, I'm sure you reviewed it on the website, right? And they say, no, I didn't. And then you ask them if they would, because that'd be awesome, and then they don't. But you ask like 10 people to, and eventually one of them will. But you just have to do it. It sucks. It totally sucks. It's horrible. I hate asking for favors. I hate asking anyone for favors, and asking people to like post a review of your book just after they already paid for it. I don't know. It feels kind of greedy, and it totally sucks. But you have to do it.
Have you played around with pricing at all and found a sweet spot there, at least within your Mimi Strong, since you have some to go off of more there?
Yeah, I'm always messing around with my prices. I'm always I don't trust anybody else's data. Anybody says, oh, this price is the perfect length. This is the perfect price for this length of novel in this genre. I just don't take anyone's word for it. I will run my books for a month at one price, track the data every day, and then I'll change them, and I'll see what my price elasticity of demand is myself. Because every product is different. Like, I have a different price. Like my Billionaire series they're shorter than some of my other novels, like for word count. But they sell well at $5, whereas the other novels, which are actually longer, they sell better at $4. That's the elasticity of those individual products. But I wouldn't.
Any insight why?
What's that?
I'm sorry. Any insight on why that is, though? Have you found anything in tracking those sales? Is it just because of the title, or?
Well, the why. As for the why, does it really matter? You don't really have to understand why to sell your thing at the perfect price that maximizes. I'm guessing the why is because some have more erotic content than others, and the bundles were released as a serial, so they're in a three-dimensional sized box. And what I could do is I could be really tacky and take my novels and like put them into like a 3D box, even though they aren't box sets, and then see if you could charge $1 more for that. But I think we all have our limitations about like how much is too used car salesman-y,
Mm-hmm.
And I just haven't done that. But in theory, if you were desperate and you were hard up for money, yeah, do it. Do what you need to do, as long as you're being honest.
Interesting. Okay.
Do you use a different price point for different books in the series, or do you basically price them all at the same thing? Like book 1 in the Billionaire series, is it priced lower than book 2, 3, and 4? Or do you mix that around too, or?
It seems to me like it kind of all equals out. Like if you do have a 3-book series, you can offer book 1 cheaper, and you'll sell more, and you'll make almost nothing. And a lot of those people will just impulse buy it because it's 99 cents, and very few of them will sell through to the rest of the series. Whereas if you sell your intro book for $2.99, you'll get fewer sales, but you'll get the same amount of earnings and probably the same amount of sell-through. So there are a lot of things that I find really aren't difficult decisions. It's like price it at 99 cents or price it at $2.99. Either way is fine. You're going to be fine. Both prices are good.
Kevin?
Case?
Yeah. Oh, Trish, you have a question?
Sorry.
No, I was going to ask if you did.
Yeah. Having written New Adult, it's been around now for a year and a half as the hot, big genre. Do you think it's reaching a saturation point? And if you do, what do you think is the next big thing?
Well, I don't think readers are tired of it. I think there are the market is getting more saturated. Like I put a New Adult book out in May of 2013, and I didn't really have very much of a platform, and the thing just started selling. I sold like 400 copies the day it went up, and there was absolutely no reason for it. I certainly can't take credit for that happening. It was just people wanted those books, and there weren't that many out there. You could not replicate that today. I could write a book that's better because, in theory, I've gotten better at writing. I could put it up with a same cover, and it was just like sell 4 copies and disappear. But that was just the time, you know. Oh, as for what's in the future, I don't know. And you know what? I don't care. I just, you know, it doesn't matter. Like if you see something that's really popular, I do not personally have the skill to emulate some sort of popular thing. Like I tried, and I just I really suck at it. Like I tried to write like a really angsty, like you know, dark novel, and it just the people just start making jokes in the middle of it, and it just goes to hell. So I just I don't care about trends, but if other people want to chase trends and that makes them happy, I'm like, more power to you. Go do it.
Now, what do you think about, there's a school of thought about writing books directly to a certain market, and having your book cover directly to a certain market, so there's a shorthand of that people will know exactly what they're looking for. Do you subscribe to that kind of belief, or no?
Well, I've got this kind of interesting. It's like a thought. It's like a mental exercise, if you will. So, okay, well, we're all here, all of us. We're very creative people. We're very talented. We're skilled. We've studied our craft. We've honed our skills. We work with editors. If, say, for example, you felt that you were a terrible writer, but you needed to make like $100 to pay your rent next month, what would you do?
I'd sell out.
But just for a minute, if you think, okay, you have like 1 week to put something up on Amazon that you need to make $100 from, like what would you do? And also assume that you're a terrible writer. Which is, I know, it's a really silly exercise, right? And so whatever that was that thing that you thought of just now that like made you laugh. Now, what if you did that thing, but you did it with all your skill because you're a great writer, and you put a little bit more time into it? Like, how amazing would that thing be? So if you really want to go into this thing and do it for money, that's how you have to think about it.
So I'm going to make an inference there and say, write smut and write it well, and you make lots of money.
Well, see now you're describing basically what I have done. But I would say I do take a lot of pride in my work. I actually I spent a lot of time in the last week going through and I actually did some editing and some revisions to some of my older works. I knew there were some pieces that went up that were a little bit rushed and that I didn't do as nice a job as I wanted to do. So I actually opened up my old documents and I smoothed some stuff out because I don't find that there's any joy or personal satisfaction in putting up work that you don't feel good about. But if I feel good about whatever I'm doing, whether it's like making cheeseburgers or like whatever, like I've worked in fast food like when I was in my 20s, and I took pride in being the best person who worked the counter at the A&W or whatever. So I just try to have fun and put everything into everything I do.
Okay, so I have a quick question for you. So a lot of people advocate that once you get, say, your 3rd book out or your 4th book out, and you start promoting those books, hoping to see the transference then for the later books in the series, they advocate basically like an 80-20 percentage, that 80% of your time should be spent writing and 20% spent basically promoting social media, stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that?
My thinking is that you should spend 100% of your time doing things that you know are going to generate a positive return on investment for your time. So if you have to spend an entire week figuring out your covers or doing a rebrand on your cover, and it's 100% of your time for a week, but it's going to pay off over the long haul, then you just have to do it. So I would say spend 0% of your time doing irritating, frustrating things that you don't see the point in. Like, for example, Twitter. I just like, I know some people love Twitter, but I don't get it. I didn't know how to use it properly, and it just like really stressed me out that I have to go in there and like check messages and you know, so you feel like you have like so many things coming at you. Like you have Facebook messages and you have email and you have comments, and you're not going to be at your best as an author if you're running around like crazy. So I just deleted my account, and maybe that was a bad like customer service thing, but I think that my readers will forgive me if they get like 5% more books annually because I'm not on Twitter. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Makes sense.
That actually leads into the next question, which is, so I do know you're on Facebook. What about Goodreads? Are you very active on Goodreads? Have you tried to reach those community of readers?
I have not done anything on Goodreads at all. And it's partly because I'm not really actively reading for pleasure in my genre, so I don't really have a lot to contribute as a reader. Like if I know some contemporary romance authors, they also read you know, a book a day, or they're robots or aliens or something. I don't know how they do it. But if I was doing something like that, then maybe I would post as a reader. But I don't do that because I don't think I would offer any value. So
Yep,
no.
that makes sense. So how active are you actually on Facebook?
Well, not very active.
And you'd mentioned one time that you haven't seen any drop in sales on your Mimi Strong ones with cutting back on Twitter and back on Facebook a little bit.
Oh yeah, no. It's like your customer base, your really lovely, wonderful reader base, who are the greatest people in the world. Only maybe like 0.005% of those people are ever going to you know, email you or Facebook message you or something. And so if someone contacts me directly, I always reply to them. I always send a personal message from my email. But what I don't do is I don't really get on there and say like, hey, everybody email me what you think about this. Because I cannot do that, because I would get like 2,000. Well, no, I wouldn't get 2,000. I would get like a couple hundred comments, and then I would have to spend all the rest of the day answering them. So people say, oh, get on social media and start conversations. And I think that's crazy because I have to write a lot of books. I don't really have time to go do 200 conversations a day. It's like you don't walk into a cocktail party and say like, hey, everybody, like, what's happening? Everybody talk at once. You know?
Yeah,
So
that doesn't
since
sound like much fun.
since you don't use Twitter and you barely use Facebook, do you mostly interact with your fans through your mailing list and run contests and stuff like that, or?
Oh, honey, I mostly interact with them through my wonderful books that I write for them, which are very personal experience. And at the end of the day, that's what they want. They want my book. They're like, you know, I've had on occasion, I've had readers like jokingly tell me to like, hey, quit doing that. Go write a book. They will, like, if they see me like goofing around and doing stuff on Facebook, they'll tell me to, you know, go. Where's the other Peaches book? And that's what they should do, because I don't know, like, I'm a nice well, I think I'm a nice person, but you know, that's up for debate. But I enjoy meeting people and talking to people. But like, I used to go write at my local neighborhood Starbucks, and that was really good for about 4 months until I started to get to know the other regulars who came in to the Starbucks. And then I would like go there and I would like just talk to random people for 2 or 3 hours, and I wouldn't get any writing done. So now I can't even write in Starbucks. But, I mean, you can't. What my point is that you can be too friendly, and you won't get any work done.
Well, I know a lot of writers have picked up one of those treadmill desks so that they can write even more at home and not even have to go out for a walk or anything.
Oh my God, doesn't that just make you want to kill yourself? Like, just like this idea of like the writers and they're on their treadmills and they're typing all their words and they've got like a food tube going into their mouth with like Soylent in it and there's this little bucket in the corner they could do their business in and like Amazon is there just whipping them like more books.
Well, you don't have a bucket in the corner? You don't have a bucket in the corner of your office?
No, I think that's the new. I think that's the new version of Select that they're going to bring in. It's a treadmill for every author, and a little poop bucket, and like a 2-month supply of Soylent.
and
there's a question. There's a question on the website.
Yeah,
There's a question on the website on whether you have any interest in moving into even more genres. Basically, right now you've tried 3. Are you getting a hankering to add a 4th genre?
Oh yeah, yep, probably. I'd love to write every genre that's out there. Like I wrote a murder mystery format book as one of my young adult books. So I looked up the whole like the 21 points to doing a mystery, and it was so much fun to learn that new structure. So without a doubt, like in a year or in 2 years, I'll try something new. Oh, and just
something new. Since you've had so much success, have you considered writing like a how to market books book?
I don't know if I could say anything that isn't already said. Maybe what would be the most helpful or useful thing for me to do is to post links to really great books that I have read and to say, in particular, this chapter I really strongly agree with. And I've been thinking about doing some sort of mega post like that. Like every time I read a good marketing or craft book, like I can have a little resources page or something. But I don't have any interest. I don't have any interest in being a spokesperson for self-publishers because I think that would be a really bad idea because I would talk about like pooping in a bucket like way too much. And I mean, but like that's one of those things that is just generally working against me in the contemporary romance genre. If you know what I mean. Like if you guys knew how many times I had to go and take out all of like the raunchy like 12-year-old boy humor jokes. It's pretty bad.
Let me just say I've never read a how to market books that had pooping in a bucket, so that could be a unique niche.
Yeah, you could be making shitloads.
And that joke played right in there.
There was a pun in there on purpose. I will admit that I am that lame. Oh, goodness me. Well, we've actually made up to the hour now, and Wade's had to go. So, do we have more questions for Mimi?
I do. I have a quick question. I don't know if this was actually asked earlier or not. But looking at the climate now and looking at, new authors coming in, what would be your kind of like single most recommendation for anybody just starting out right now? I can see her thinking.
That is so hard. It's so tough. I think that I might want to point out to them that a lot of authors don't necessarily tell the whole truth because we're always so concerned about like we don't want to appear ungrateful. So even when I speak honestly about like low sell-through numbers from book 1 to book 2 of something, and I say that it was disappointing and I felt sad or whatever, I do feel a little bit like I'm being rude to the people who bought book 2, who I love and adore, and I really, really appreciate that, Do you know what I mean? Like it's so difficult to be really truly honest about the experience and about the business side of things when you're on very public forums, because your customers are everyone. So that would be my advice. Would just be to find some people at or near your level. Like, don't try to like best friend like the #1 superstar, or do, I don't know, like, you know, dine up, I don't know, but find some people you can network with privately, so that when you have a bad day, you can just kind of get it out there, and you don't have to worry about like offending people. So that would be my advice, is to network, do some stuff publicly, get on some message boards and stuff, but also find a group of people who are similar to you, and do some really, really private soul searching and networking and number sharing.
That's excellent advice. So, Kevin, you had a last question?
Yeah, one last question. You said you don't like going to Starbucks because you end up talking to random strangers for like 3 hours, but you also don't like the idea of a treadmill desk and being a little hobo and hermit. How do you? A lot of people have day jobs when they're trying to write. How do you find the balance to be able to sit down and just get the words down? Do you have any advice on being able to just kind of get the story out?
No, I'm a terrible person for that. My life is a disaster. I have no social life. I can barely walk up a set of stairs without wheezing. I am a disaster. I would never give advice on balance, because I do not have balance in my life. A new thing that we're doing in our house, though, is no computer after 9 p.m. at night. And that keeps me off of, like, I turn into, like, you know, it's like Jekyll and Hyde around 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and that keeps me off of there.
No, but do you move on to the TV then, from one device to another? Or?
Yeah, but I mean the TV is not like as stimulating, and so I will eventually just like conk out and fall asleep, and then have to be like, you know, sent to bed.
And
so I will eventually shut down for the day. What?
You do have your own nerd at home as well, though, so that's got to be somewhat entertaining.
I do have my own what at home?
Nerd.
Oh, my nerd, yeah, my geek, yeah. We have the software installed that changes the light on all the computer monitors to go pink after sunset, so there's no like blue light stimulating you. I also do own a treadmill. I just don't write on it, and I have been on the treadmill 2 times this year. But one of those times was recently, and I'm planning to go again very soon.
Oh, that's so good.
I'm very honest with myself. I think that's important.
I just want to say that this has been great, because this week we talked to you, and last week we had Nicholas Smith, who runs like marathons in his spare time. And you guys both get words written, so you can be on either end of the spectrum and still get the work done.
Yeah, you're probably not going to be on the marathon side, though. I mean, unless you are. I will just be here with my Amazon supply soylent, pooping in a bucket.
Why is it so dark at Kevin's house all of a sudden? Anyway.
Because the sun went down, that's why.
If people want to find you, Mimi, where can they do that?
Well, they can look for me on Twitter, but I'm not there. No. That's mean. Don't be mean. I do have email. My email is on my website at mimistrong.com. If you want to know what the magic is, you should buy one of my books. I actually have some
I bought Ghost Hackers just now, like literally just now.
Good. My sales will go up from 37 to 38, which is far more sales of my first young adult book than I ever sold. People can find me website, have email, and then I have a Facebook page, and you can message on there. You can post on the timeline. You can do anything. I've limited my number of ways that people can contact me because I really do care about replying to people when they take the time to message me. So I just have those 2 ways so that I can be sure I reply to everyone.
So if you were to recommend one book that you've written for someone to buy right now after this podcast, which would it be?
Well, I don't know what they like. Oh, how can you tell that I worked in retail for 10 years? Yeah, no. I do have, if you want to read the smutty romance stuff, I do have a bundler, which is some full-length novels and some serial openers, and it's free. It's free on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. So you don't even have to spend $1. If you want to read something with less sex but more fart jokes, you can read Ghost Hackers Book 1. It's only 99 cents.
That's what I'm looking forward to. Fart jokes.
Well, there's a lot of I'm writing book 2 right now, and I was taking myself a little bit too seriously, and I was getting really stressed out, and I just started writing a lot of stuff about like sweating in your crack, and it really unleashed my creativity.
I
So
felt really good about the 99 cents that I just spent now. So
you cannot, like, some of us, we just take ourselves way too seriously some days.
yeah, that's true. Some people do.
It's terrible. If you can just kind of like do it like you kind of don't care, the irony is that the work comes out really decent because you're not trying to. I'd say where people go wrong is they're trying so hard to impress people, and like nobody wants to be impressed. They just want to be entertained, whatever that is. So when you just like let go of that desire to impress people and you just try to help them have a laugh or whatever, I think you do a lot better for writing.
Okay, it doesn't look like there's any more comments on the website.
Yeah, I was just going to say before we go, our good friends of the show, Buddy Gutt and Lisa Stoll, got engaged this week, so congratulations to you two. It was a complete surprise to everyone because, you know, they're so quiet about their feelings online that, like, there would have been, like, no idea that they were even, like, in love. Like, it's not like they ever mention it, but they're engaged, so congratulations, you guys.
Wasn't there, like, a bet on exactly when they were going to finally announce their engagement?
Yeah, like
Wasn't
the
there a
third
bet
day
going
that
on?
they started going out.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like a romance novel.
Yes, congratulations to Buddy and Lisa.
Congrats!
Don't forget the wedding invites for all of us.
I've already offered to MC the wedding, and
Carl just died.
Carl just died. Right, live on air, too.
Actually, I think Buddy might have just muted him when he mentioned MC in the wedding.
All right. Well, he's still frozen. Also, while you guys are listening, you can go over to the SPRT blog, where we have our next in a series of best-selling author interviews. This week we have Tanya Kappas, and you can go over the blog for that. And I don't know if Carl's coming back.
I don't think so. He looks like he's pretty well frozen. So thank you for your patience with us. I think this podcast was a little bit off just because of the slow start we got. But I think we went through everything we wanted to ask, so we sure appreciate you hanging out with us.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming on. You've been a great guest.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. It's nice to meet you all.
And then next week is the SPRT birthday show, so tune in for insanity.
And if I'm not sure if we're having an after party or not, if we are having one and you want to attend, leave your email address in the comments.
I will be sending out the invites, so just put your thingamajiggy in there, and then I'll do the thing.
Okay, doke. Well, I think that we can shut her down.
All right, I will turn it off right now.